My name is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone. I have a website titled Mobile or Mobile Audit Club. I was a bank examiner for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is also known as the FDIC. A bank examiner is like an auditor of banks. The FDIC also has an insurance fund that insures your deposits up to $100,000. The FDIC was formed to protect small bankers. The Treasury already had banking regulators and bank examiners. However, the FDIC came along to help the small banks to make sure they did not go under on behalf of the farmers. A lot of good that did. The reason I talk about the FDIC because it mimics our election process. It is a fraud. The FDIC, from what I see, was actually laundering some money. There were actually some very good bank examiners there, but what I saw in some banks was obvious money laundering, and a regional director had been murdered in San Francisco in George Bush Sr.'s reign, or that apparent man known as George Bush Sr. He was actually the man who was the regional director for FDIC San Francisco was killed in his office, and they called it a suicide. He was killed with his own gun. I was attacked after I reported money laundering and murder. That was in 2001, around in February 2001. I reported it to the FBI and the Secret Service. None of them even responded to me. What they did was later on was push me out of the government. They actually ended up injecting me with chemicals, and I was actually disenfranchised for many years. And to this day, although I had legally owned a gun and was actually moving, only had a gun in my vehicle, they had me listed as a felon still, even though the case was dismissed in all states except for California. And California would not give me a trial by jury on appeal after I had proven that the man who took my gun permit, a Sheriff Jack Tillman of Mobile, Alabama, was indeed a food funds thief of close to $500,000. The reason I talk about this, it all ties together. We are disenfranchised from voting. Many of us are. This is a setup of the American people in the same way I was set up. We need a new political party to deal with this. We need technological know-how because I feel that the people we often look like are not what they seem. We do not have a government. We do not have representation. And you should know that in Germany, everybody is allowed to vote. Everybody, including convicts, people in prison. Why? Because they did not want another Adolf Hitler to rise up. Look here in America, it looks as if Adolf Hitler is in control in many, if not all, sectors. I've been warned, I was warned by a fellow veteran not to work for the FDIC as a bank examiner. I should not have done it because I did not know that I was going to be attacked, injected, tortured, and pushed out. To this day, I am blacklisted from federal employment, and I am treated like a felon wherever I go. I feel the United States government is trying to push me out of the United States, and they just about have, some of them anyway. Where do you go? There is no escape, because I feel this is an international regime, that we do not have control of what goes on in our government. They actually, think about all the people that were killed the past 7 or 8 years in these wars. What has happened to the price of gas has gone up. After the refinery blew up this year in 2008 in Texas, the price of gas jumped almost $1 immediately after that, because they had created a monopoly on oil already in the Far East, in Afghanistan, Iraq. The only one left is Iran, and there's some people egging on for a fight with them. We are all from the same progenitor human. I say that I'm talking about we the humans. Not all human beings are going to be humane. That is a form of intelligence. The same way some people cannot understand even simple mathematical concepts, some people cannot understand being humane to others. It is not something that's in the agenda of the United States government. If you will see in my videos, I am an educated and degreed reporter, auditor. I am also trained in the medical sciences, and I'm also trained in basic sciences in other areas. I have like a doctorate level education. Yet the government pushes me out like I'm a murderer. I actually owned a gun after the attempt on my life. I had a gun permit. The gun permit was not pulled until April 3rd, 2001, when I was going to report Sheriff Jack Tillman of Mobile, Alabama for stealing inmate food funds. Now, I had reported the attempt on my life in front of the Mobile, Alabama City Council meeting. That was in late February or early March of 2001. I was very nervous. I was afraid I was going to be shot in the head. The federal government may have destroyed those videos. We cannot trust them. Let's push for the overthrow of the closed-door regime. If they insist on closing the government, let's close them forever. Let's get rid of them. We do not need to be beat up. I am encouraging an international humane party. I'd like to have a see with more social programs, but I also want it to be geared towards positive capitalism and getting us off of this dying planet. Eventually, we will end up being wiped out on this planet. You can guarantee that. Wiped out or put back in chains. Already, they act like it's just the black people who cannot vote. It's many people. It's every race. It's not. And how can you say one person's one race or another? When I look at a human being, I turn out the lights. That is absurd to stop anyone from voting. Anyone. We must beware of technology and fraud also, because these people are liars, or this thing, it is a liar, and it will not ever give us justice. Even YouTube edits videos. I've noticed many times I talk about things. I think a man like Malcolm X is a man of virtue. He started out, he actually hated some groups just based on race, and in time he started seeing the truth that some people are humane in all races and some are inhumane, which brings up a good concept. Now, are those that are inhumane and cruel to others, are they actually outside the human race, or they are just like some of the more ignorant within our own races, our own families? We know that. Some people in our families are much more bright than others in some things, and some others aren't. It is my hope that we'll all get to vote eventually. I encourage you to take cameras into the government meetings. I encourage you to team up, to have 2 or 3. I encourage you to have technology to test the government officials to see if they're even human, to see what they are. We all know they're all bought out at the top level. You cannot be elected without huge amounts of money. We know the system is corrupt. I was injected and tortured repeatedly by the federal government and those that approved of it since 2001. I had no problem until I went to work as a bank examiner for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and survived an attempt on my life. I often wonder if I am dead. I have been mistreated so horribly by the government of the United States, or that thing in power. Many people do not care. Many people actually applaud to see their own people getting kicked down. I think it's because they've been beat so many times, or either they're possibly that thing that I call the inhumane sector. It could be humans, it could be technology. You never know. Just like a video game can emulate cars, people, I believe that human beings can be emulated or fabricated, and I also believe your mind can be deceived. I was injected with some sort of chemical by the government of the United States. It made me sick for years. I actually feel a little better sometimes, but sometimes that sickness comes back over me. I was actually knocked unconscious in 2004 simply because I had like a burn on my neck and reported a spill on a highway. At the time, I was in probation and exile for owning a gun for simply parking on federal property outside of a gate. I didn't even know I was on federal property. I had a U-Haul. I was going to the VA the next day to get prescribed medications for me for a service-connected disability. The government of the United States does not care about you. Do not serve that military right now. I encourage you not to do it. If you line up in there, they can put any kind of engineered chemical in you at any time, or any other thing. There's a saying in the Bible, I forget what it was. I don't know if you say it Hosea or Hosea. It was on 10-13. They talk about if you have wars, it will come back to bite you. And that is the very truth. That is very much the truth. The government is intent on having war with everyone. Let us hope it comes back to bite them and we can regain this government. I see many people mad out there. What can we do? We need to organize. We need to push, and we need to, if they do not allow us into the government meetings, if they do not allow our votes to be counted, if they do not allow us to verify our own votes in our own precincts, then we should push that government out, because we've got a liar and an enemy among our people. And we know that's a fact. Look at how many people are suffering in the United States. This is a nation of plenty. This is absurd. We should be getting off this planet. I don't see us leaving. I see some big planes leaving. I don't see us leaving. This is Kurt Brown, St. Rambo, and Mobile Audit Club, wishing you well. And I encourage you to do more than just stand back and vote and stand there, don't talk to each other. Get involved. Become an observer. Become a criminal investigator, a technological investigator. And learn that we are not different species of animals. We're all human beings. If we're humane, we are all human beings. That's the way I look at it. If you're inhumane, maybe